So in IAM, we saw about MFA, multi-factor authentication, and how to access our accounts. There were 3 ways to access our accounts, which were
Sorry.
what were the ways to access our account, AWS resources?
Um, the MFA.
No. The MFA was the just multi-factor authentication in which we can
Yes.
secure our account and all that. We had virtual MFA in which we were using Google Authenticator.
Yes.
So there we used Google Authenticator, and another one we had was U2F security key,
Yeah.
and the third one was Gemalto token.
Gmail.
And there were 3 ways to access our AWS resources. So what were the 3 ways? First one was AWS Management Console.
Oh yeah. Management console. CLI.
Right. Second one was AWS CLI. And then third one,
Third is
AWS
SDF, SDK.
SDKs, software development kits, and APIs, application programming interface.
Interface.
So if I want to take access using AWS Management Console, what will I be needing to take access via Management Console?
You just need your login credentials, email and password.
Email and password. And in case of AWS CLI and SDK,
You need the U2F security tokens to access the control
first one
line.
was access key ID, and in place of password, we need secret
Secret access key.
Okay. So by using these two, you can take access via AWS CLI, and if you want to take access via email console, then you can use either email or password. Okay. And then next we talked about IAM feature, which IAM provides, and mainly IAM provides. What is IAM? First of all, identity
Access management.
access management. Mainly, it provides 2 types of services. First one is authentication, and another one is
Authorization.
authorization. The section of authentication, it lets us create users, and those users are called.
IAM users.
And for authorization, where we provide set some permissions for our users, there we have 3 ways to set permissions. First one is we can create groups, which are called IAM groups. We can policies, you can say IAM policy, and finally IAM.
Role.
So let's discuss about them one by one. So I have a question. Did you work on Linux? Oh, you work on Linux?
Yes.
Yeah. So how many type of users do you know? How many type of users are there?
In Linux.
In we can say in any system or in any organization, how many type of users will be there?
Yeah, there's one that is root user.
Right. First one that
Then
is root. or you can say admin.
Admin, yes. And then admin or root can create lots of other normal users.
Right? Create normal users, let's say just users. And if we talk about from the organization point of view, then how many users will be there?
They can be a lot.
First of all, let's say first one is our root user. Then second, we have power user. Then third, we have system users, normal users. We have guest users.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about from the bottom. Guest users are those users which have temporary access to your infrastructure and they can use the services only temporary basis.
Yes.
Temporary access to your structure. Access and use it. So they can access and use it. So let's say if I go to our team section, and where is it? Yeah. So if I click on this and go to manage team, and members and guest. So you are added as a guest user
Yes.
in our organization. You can access the resources, you can download the recordings, you can get the content and all that. You can, if you want to send some message, you can do that too, but only for a limited period of time. If I remove this team today, you will not be able to access the content tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. So you are a guest user. Just like that, we can create guest users.
Okay.
Then next one we can, which we are saying users normally. So they can be said as they are members of that organization, members of that organization with some specific permission.
So you are that for me. You are that for me. I have to see.
Specific permission.
Yeah, I should
Let's say we are here. If I want to change someone to a member, I can do that.
Okay.
So right now I'm in the owner of this team. If I want to add another member, I can add a member. And that member must be from my organization. Only then I can add him as a member. And if I'm adding someone who is not part of my organization, then they will be added as a guest.
Guest.
And third one, we have system users. So those users which are created by the, you can say, operating system to run the services in the background. Okay. Like whenever you go to the web browser or your Chrome, so when you go to Google Chrome, there is a user behind that which handles all the processing of that particular Google Chrome. That user will provide access to the Google Chrome, resource to the Google Chrome, and it will, if I want to open a tab, it will feel like you are opening the tab. But in the back end, that particular user who is managing the Google Chrome is opening that tab. You are just providing it a signal that you have to open a tab. Okay. So all the users which are created by operating system and run in the background to manage all the services and all that, those are called system users. Let me show you an example of system users too.
Also, chocolate. I think it's not very
So it It's opening tilde up. Let's write it here. Users, yeah, those users by the operating system to run the services are called system users.
No, but this one is for let's say
Let it run.
that's what the term.
So system users are available in every operating system. If we go to the task manager of Windows and let's go to the details here. And if we see the details section, multiple services are there, multiple softwares are there, and it will show you the username of that user who ran that software. So right now my username is Adil. My system's main username is Adil. Other than these, we can see there is a user, local service. If we scroll through, there is a user DWM-2. There is a system user, UMFD user. So that particular user is managing that service in the background, and we don't need to interfere with that. Even if you try to interfere, only that user can access that service. You can just provide signal to this user, and that user will perform the action on that service. So in Windows, we can check the users, system users from here. And if we talk about Linux, so in Linux, there is a file in etc. There is a file called passwd. So let's go to that. So the passwd file saves all the information regarding a user's, either root user or system user or local user. All the information regarding those users will be there. So if I cat etc passwd, so there are multiple users shown here. First of all, that is root user, then bin, daemon, ADM, IP, I think LP, sure. So all the users whose UID, user ID is above, is between 1 to 999 are system users. They are working in the background, and sometimes you can see the message ahead of them. Like if we check in dbus, so what the dbus users manage, it manages the system message bus. If we check nobody manages kernel overflow user. Okay, games user is therefore to manage games. FTP user is there to manage FTP configuration and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are our system users, and lastly we have a user with the name Lucky, whose UID is 1000. That means that is a local user. So above 1000, we have local users. Between between 1 and 999 are our system users, and with 0 UID, it will be root user for Linux only. Okay. So yeah, let me write it here. Next one is our power users. So power users are those users which have same privileges as admin user, except user management. They cannot create a user, delete a user, but they can perform all the other actions. Okay. Same privileges as root user, user management. And finally, we have root or our admin user, which have all the privileges. They have all the privileges and they can do anything in that particular account. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to create a user in AWS, first let's log in. Then by going to the IAM service, I can create a user. And the main reason behind creating users is that, let's say if I have a single account, I only have my main account here. So if I use main account, main AWS account for all the work, I have an admin here, I have 2 developers for testing. So I have 4 employees here. Okay. And if they were all doing the work with the same account, I would not be able to track which user, which employee is working on what, because in the history, it will be shown like your main account did this, main account did this. So first reason is that to isolate the working of the particular user, we are creating IAM user. Okay. So for isolating and for monitoring the user and all that. So let's go to IAM. I'm gonna search IAM. Manage access to resource. Click on that. So right now I don't have any users in my account. So if I want to create a user, just click on that and click here, add user. So you can create 25 user accounts in free tier. And
sorry,
you can create 25 user accounts in free tier.
At the same time?
No. For free tier, maximum user number of user account you can create 25.
25. Okay, 25.
At the same time, you can create 10 users.
Okay.
Time you can create 10 users and 25 users in
maximum.
free tier. Yeah.
Oh, free tier. Free tier
account. Okay. And you don't have to pay anything till here when you are using it.
Okay.
Just hold on a minute. Hello. हाँ बात नहीं अभी तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम चल रहा है
Anga, please, I'm in class.
नहीं हो रहे अभी मतलब ऑनलाइन ही चल रहा है ज्यादातर वर्क बाकी सेशन वहाँ पे ओपन तो है ग्रास तो सर तो जाते ही हैं उसका आइडिया नहीं है उनसे राजेश सर से पूछना पड़ेगा वापस केसेस वगैरह इतने बढ़े ना इसके कोरोना के तो उस चक्कर में कुछ कह नहीं सकते हाँ वहाँ पे बड़े तो थे अब तो थोड़ा फिर भी कंट्रोल में आने लगा वापस कितना 5-7 दिन से तो हाँ महीना 1.5 महीना तो कम से कम जुलाई के आसपास ही होगा जाना Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
So yeah, so we were creating a user here. Let's say I want to create a user, Joseph. And if I want to create multiple users, you can just click on add another, and okay.
Yes.
So right now I'm creating a single user. Then which type of access I want to provide it to him? I want to give him programmatic access, or whether I want to give him console access. If I select programmatic access, the AWS will generate your access key ID and secret access key. And if you only select AWS management console, then you can either auto generate the password or you can custom create your password here.
Okay.
So let's give both access to the Joseph user, I'm going to give programmatic access as well as AWS management console access. And I'm using right now auto-generated password. Then if I tick this option, last one. So if I tick this, then whenever the user will try to log in next, he will need to change the password. Otherwise, he
Okay.
will need to be able to continue. Okay, so let's tick this and create next. Here I can give the permissions for which services we want to provide access and all that. So for now, I'm
Okay.
not giving any permissions. Just click on tags. If you want to provide a tag, let's say purpose and testing. Then next, you just review the settings and create. So a user has been created and you have been provided with the link by which you can take access in that IAM user. Or you can download the CSV file. Let me download it. My desktop. So now I just have to send this file to my employee and he will be able to access in his account.
Okay.
There will be his credentials, his username will be there, his password will be there. So yeah, in first column we have username, in second column we have the password of that user, then
Access key.
access key, secret access key, and console login link.
Also login link.
So whenever Joseph user want to access the AWS account, he just have to copy the so copy the console link. So in browser, let's go to incognito, paste and enter. And sign in as IAM user. My account ID is being shown here. I just have to give the username Joseph and the password, which I will get from the CSV file. Here is it. Okay. Copy and then sign it. And because of the last tick, it is asking me to change the password.
Change the password.
Change your password to continue. So I'm gonna give the old password, then I'm gonna give the new password. At 1, 2, 3, 4. From change password and you will be logged into your account. Okay. So if we check it here, yeah, if we click here, it is showing me that I'm logged in with the IAM user Joseph. Okay, and if I want to go to any service, let's go to the EC2 service which provides us virtual servers, and let's open another one, S3 service which provides us storage. So right now I don't have access on any of these services. So it will not show me the content of on the particular services and all that. So it will just show API error, API. If we go to S3, there I will not be able to see the content. Okay, so right now it's loading the buckets and you don't have permission to list buckets.
Buckets. Okay.
So
Yes.
next is I want to give access to the user Joseph so that he can use the services and do the work. Okay.
Okay.
So for providing access to any service, we will use from authorization section our policies. Talk about policies then. They are nothing but just permissions which can be assigned to a user, a group of users. Can either assign the permission, I can either assign the policy on a single user, or I can assign the policy on multiple users inside a group.
Okay.
Okay, so it's totally up to me how I want to assign the permission to a certain user. So mainly they are written in and written in JSON. So, oh, JSON, have you worked on JSON?
JSON format. No, it's like a code, right?
Right, something like that. So
Yes.
even I haven't worked on that much. Okay.
Okay.
But even then you can create your own policies and you can use those policies, you can assign those policies. Okay, because it is a you can say it's very easy to understand the policies in JSON format. It is a little bit difficult to write the policy from scratch, but if the policy is there, it is easy to understand.
Understand. Okay.
And they also provide you a visual editor by which you can create your own policies.
Okay.
So mainly they have values in UPF. There will be some key and some value of that particular key. Value pairs will be used in JSON. So let's go to the IAM section and go to policies. So these are all policies. And I think around 800 policies are given to us. Every different service has different policies, and each of them are given here. The description is also there. Like second one is administrator access. Okay, what it provides full access to the AWS services and resources. So you can check them from here what they actually work. Okay, so you
Okay,
can
so this
either
so the policies are already pre-made and on the system. You just need to check which one you're looking for.
yeah, mostly most of them are there, and let's say around 70 to 80% work are done by using the pre-made policies.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to create your own, like there is a limit on how many policies we can directly assign to a user or a group.
Okay.
So let me write that too. We can assign policies to a user, and similarly we can also assign and policies to a group.
Okay.
And assign maximum 10 policies to a group, not more than that. Okay, so if I created a user, let's say I just created Joseph user, and I gave 10 permissions to Joseph. I attached 10 policies to Joseph user. Then I created a group and I added Joseph in that group, and that group also has 10 permissions,
10 policies.
and these will be different than the ones that Joseph already has. So now Joseph can have 20 permissions. Let's say
Okay.
I created another group, and that group also has 10 permissions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I can add Joseph user in this group. It doesn't, you can say, prohibit us to add a same user in multiple groups. So you can add the same user in multiple groups, so he can have multiple permissions at the same time. So, yeah, we can use the policies from here, and if you want to filter the policies, most of them are AWS managed. But some, when you create your own policy, that will be under customer managed section, and you can also check those. These are customer managed policies. If you want to create your own policy, you can create from here.
Okay.
So for now, there is a service EC2 which provides us virtual servers. So if we check the EC2 full access permission, EC2 full access policy, just click on that policy. It will show you the policy in JSON format.
Okay.
So you can copy it, and if we try to understand the policy a little bit. So yeah, so every policy starts with a version, and it will be some date around 2012. Okay. Then in statement section, we will write all the policies, all the permissions which we want to assign. And mainly we can assign two types of policy, two types of permissions here. Either we can allow the user or we can deny the user. So if we allow the user, it comes under implicit deny. Okay. Sometimes it is also called implicit deny. And if we just deny the user so that he will not be able to access the particular service, that will be called explicit deny. Okay. So right now it is allowing all the services, all the access. So in action, he wrote EC2 : star. That means on EC2 service, he can perform any action, all of the action on EC2 service. And effect is allow. So he will be able to perform all the actions. Next one is resource. Let's say I have 5 servers created on EC2. EC2 1, then EC2-2, EC2-3, EC2-2, and EC2-5. So if I want to provide access to a certain user, if I want to create my own policy, then I can select the number of resources on which he should have access.
Just to.
Okay. So if you want to provide access only on particular resources, then at that time you have to add the ARN of those resources. ARN. So you have to add the ARN of those resources inside the policy. And ARN format is fixed. You have to use the same format, and you don't have to calculate. You don't have to create the ARN on your own. AWS will provide the ARN. Okay, you just have to select the resource, and that's that. But sometimes in interviews and in examination, they ask you the format of. They can ask you the format of ARN.
Okay.
So let me write it here. The ARN starts with like this. First of all, ARN will be there, then colon, partition will be there, One. Okay. Then service name. After that, region in which you are working. Then your account number. And then again service name and service ID. Okay. So let me show you. Yeah. So this policy also have its own ARN. Okay. Its ARN is like this. So let me copy it and write it here. So we will be able to compare it with the other one.
Okay.
Just a minute. Let me write what is ARN? It is Amazon name. So AWS provides an ARN to each of these resources so that he is able to access those resources via using the ARN. It will be easy to manage for AWS using the ARNs. Okay.
Yes.
So if we compare it here, let's space and again and okay. First of all, ARN, then it is showing partition that which resource, whose resource we are using, AWS resource. Let's just say if you were using the resources of any government cloud which were using the AWS infrastructure, then it should be something like this, GOV, and let's say US government we are using, so US AWS. Okay. Sorry, I think I wrote it backwards. AWS -US -GOV or AWS let's say we are using resources from China, then China GOV. Okay, so it will be something like that. Third one is service name. So we are using the IAM service. That policy was created on IAM. In region selection, it is not showing me anything. Why is that? Because
it's global.
Right, it's global. IAM does not need region selection. Then account number, it is just showing us AWS, and in service name, it is telling that it is part of policies. In policies, it is the policy name is Amazon EC2 full access. So you can see the ARNs of multiple resources here. If you check the ARN of the user which you have just created, you can check that too. Load the user and you just click on that user. So user's ARN is here. So let's copy this one and add it just below here. So account ID is there, then users, the username is Joseph. So like this, you can add the ARN if you want. But if you want to give a resource, if we want to give access on all the resources, in that case, you can just put the star. Star means all. Okay. Just like next one is it is allowing what actions it does. It is allowing elastic load balancing :*. That means on elastic load balancing, all the actions for all resources. Okay. Similarly, on CloudWatch, it is allowing everything. In auto scaling, it is allowing everything. But in this one, it is adding some permissions to it. Okay. So it is allowing to create service role, but only related to these services. If it is related to anything else, you will not be able to create the service role. So mainly policies, you will have to, you can say, you have to do the hit and trial method there, because sometimes when you create a policy, when you allow a certain action, it may or may not work depending on its dependencies. it might need some extra permissions to work. Okay,
Yes.
so you have to figure that out by using multiple policies.
No.
Okay, so in policy usage, we can check where it is assigned right now. So we haven't assigned anything. Policy versions, there were 5 versions. If we check multiple versions, we can check it. Okay. So in what is the difference? Here we have 5 conditions here. Okay, we have 5 services name. In version 5, it added one more. So there are 6 services name. In Access Advisor, we can check which user it is assigned to and where is it being used and when was it last accessed. If we go to the user section in IAM and open our user summary, there you will be able to check the permissions which are assigned on the user. So right now only a single permission is assigned, which is IAM user change password, so that the user can change its own password. Okay. Next, in group section, it will show you all the groups if this particular user was a member of any group. In tags, we can check the tags which we provided at the creation, or we can edit some extra.
So tax is just like, it's just for reference purposes.
Yeah, it's just for reference purpose. Mainly, let's say if you have
Label, a label.
100, right, a label. Okay. So you should be able to filter out the particular user from a number of users.
Okay.
Then in security credentials, I can either change the password, I can even disable the password. If I don't want him to access via console, I can do that. If I want to assign MFA for my IAM user, so that Joseph will need MFA authentication every time he access to, I can do that. Okay, I can create access keys for Joseph user. Right now it already have a created already have an access key ID and secret key. If I want to create another one, I can do that. Then we can also store our credentials for code commit, which is for mainly coding, and we can also add Apache Cassandra's credentials or our Git credentials here. Okay, so
Yes.
that they can be managed via a single entity. And in the last section, we have Access Advisor, where it will tell us which services, which policies we have used today or in the last few days. So service activities reported for the last 400 days. So over a year, resources will be shown here. And it might take some time, up to 4 hours, to add the recent services here, recent activities of that user here.
Okay.
So what I want to do right now, I want to assign this particular EC2 full access permission to my Joseph user, so that he should be able to access the EC2 service from here. Right now, he is not able to check all the resources here. I want him to be able to see all the resources. Okay. And not full access, I want to give him read-only access. So Amazon EC2 read-only access, just select that, go to policy action and attach. Then attach to whom? Joseph user. So select that, attach policy. And if we go to the user section in policies, let me reload the page. Before it was only one policy applied. Now
Yeah, no,
two policies are applied. So if we go to the Joseph user's account and refresh the content there, now I'm able to see the content, but only able to see. You will not be able to create anything or delete anything because you only have
Only
read permission. So if
read permission.
let's say if I want to delete a security group here, so mainly just select that, go to action and delete. And if I click delete, so fail to
Error.
delete security. Okay. So first way is to assign the user permission by directly attaching the permission, attaching the policy to that user. Second way to assign a permission to a user is to create a group and then add that particular user into that group. So let's create a group here. And when I click create group name is testing. Okay, so the user can belong to up to 10 groups. You can add a single user in up to 10 groups here. Which policy you want to attach? You can attach up to 10 policies. So let's say I want to attach the S3, and let's say in S3 Lexus. So just click on that and create group. So now a group has been created which has permissions defined on it, and he has the permission as 3 full access. Now I just have to attach the user inside the group. So I can add users from here. Which user I want to add? Joseph user, and add. So now Joseph user have permissions EC2 read only access and S3 full access. Before we didn't have the permission on S3. If I reload it right now, I have permissions. It is showing me that no buckets are there. I also have the option to create bucket. Let's say I'm going to create one and write something here. Create. So you can create it because you have the permission to create it. Okay.
Yeah. This is just like the basic create user groups, permissions in Linux.
Right, just like that.
Very important.
Yep. Because if you don't know about these, you will not be able to create and provide access to your employees if you are working as an admin in the particular company. So, yeah, you can use these permissions, policies, and user groups to provide access to our resources. For now, we only have one thing left, that is role. Okay, and before going on that, I'm deleting the testing group. And just write testing. So now that group has been deleted and the policy which was assigned to it, it will be removed. So now the last thing is roles. And what roles mainly do is IAM roles. If you want to give access to any account, any AWS account which is not part of your organization, then you can use IAM roles to assign it. You provide access to your resources. First feature, you can say property of IAM roles is to provide access to another user's AWS account. Access with your resources another user's account. Provide to access another AWS service. Can also assign, we can also mainly use it to give access to any service so that that particular service can work on any other service. Let me give you the example of that. Uh, yeah, let's say this is your main AWS account. In this, we have 3 services right now, or let's say 2 services. One of them is EC2, which provides us servers. Another one is a S3, which provides us storage. So right now I have a user here with the name Joseph, and Joseph user right now have permission to access the resources on EC2. Okay. And let's say I provided him the permission that he can do anything on EC2. EC2 full access I gave. So he will be able to go to EC2 service. If he want to create a server there, he will be able to create it. Okay. But if we try to go to the S3 service via console, it will show him an error that you don't have permission to access the S3 service. But now we have a situation in which there is a file on S3 which must be accessed by the Joseph user. But I don't want to give him permission to go to the S3 via using the console. Okay. So in that case, what I can do, I can create an IAM role. Okay. Say I created an IAM role and gave the name EC2. Okay, so I created a role providing EC2 service the access of S3 service, and I'm gonna attach this role to my EC2 instance, which was created by the Joseph user. Okay. So Joseph user have permission to create the instance. You have the permission to use that instance. And if the IAM role is assigned to that particular instance, a particular server, so Joseph user will be able to go to S3 via using this server. So first he will go to the EC2 service where he have access, go to the server on which that role is assigned, and via using that role he will be able to go to the S3 to fetch the file. But if even if we try to going directly, he will not be able to. Okay.
And if we go through EC2, if we get access to the S3, he can only access that particular file, nothing else.
No, I can define that whether we want to provide access on all the resources on S3 or we want to provide access on any particular resource by using the ARM.
Okay.
And one more thing, this access will only be via CLI. You can only access via command line. Okay. Mainly, these are the things which we can do in our IAM. Okay.
Yes.
So try doing the practice of these 4 5 things. Okay. And if there are any issues in this, then we'll resolve that tomorrow.
Okay.
And from tomorrow, we'll start our next service, which is one of the most important service of AWS and one of the most basic service of AWS.
Okay.
EC2.
This EC2 is like a virtual machine.
Yep.
Like I can go through VMware or Oracle VirtualBox and build a virtual machine.
Right. Just like I have created multiple virtual machines here. Okay. So
Yes.
for this, I'm using the storage and all that from my laptop. But if we go to the EC2, we don't have to use our resources. We will be using the
Yes.
AWS resource.
Resources. Okay.
That's the main difference.
All right. Okay. Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
One more thing is
Thanks.
here. Just a minute. One more. Do you have time? Like 5 more minutes?
Yeah. No problem.
Okay. So let's say I sign out from this account and close this window, open another incognito window. So whenever you want to try accessing via your IAM user, you must have the link. Only then you will be able to access via that link. But
Yes.
what happens if I lost the link?
Okay.
Okay. In that case, when I go to the AWS management console, let's say I went to aws.amazon.com and there I clicked on either sign in to the AWS account, or I can go from here, my account, AWS management console. There it will show me two types. Either I can log in with root user or I can log in with IAM user. But for IAM user, it is asking me for account ID. And in some cases, it is not possible to remember the account ID. Okay. So now what I want to do, I don't want to use the account ID. I want to use an alias for my account. Okay. So how to set an alias for your account? You just go to the dashboard of IAM. Okay. And then here in the dashboard section, you will see your
the link.
sign in URL. Okay, the link. You just have to click on customize and you can provide the alias here. That should be unique all over the world. So let's say I'm gonna give SRK hyphen Dragon Ball and then create alias. So alias created. So now I just have to give the alias here SRK hyphen Dragon Ball and then next. Now it is asking me for username. I'm gonna give the username Joseph, the password at the rate USCVH at the rate 1234. And I'm logged into my account. Okay. So sometimes the interviewer can also ask this how to set the alias for your account.
Yes.
Okay, instead of email, instead of your account ID. And if you want to delete your alias, you just have to click delete alias and delete. You will get your previous link back.
Okay.
So yeah, this was all in our IAM. So let's discuss the next service, which is EC2, our next session.
All right. Thank you very much.
Welcome. See you tomorrow.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.